Today's lesson is about getting around the Windows operating system, getting used to working in your Windows desktop and working with Windows, which are the way you interact with the software that's running on your computer. Right now you're looking at my Windows desktop. It's not the neatest desktop in the world, but that's okay. My desktop has a background image, and your desktop may be plain colored, maybe blue, or you may have loaded a background image in your desktop as well. I have many icons on my desktop. Some of these are links to software that I can run. Like here are my Microsoft Office links way up in the top, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and on those icons I could double click on them and it would open that software. I also have folders on my desktop where if there's things I want to get at quickly, I can put them in folders, and folders are just containers for different files. I also have some random files on my desktop. Like I said, my desktop is not very neat. I bring things on and off my desktop all the time. Every once in a while I'll clean it up, but your desktop may look something like mine. You can move things around on the desktop by clicking and dragging, and you can drop them anywhere you want. I tend to keep things I commonly use somewhere on my desktop. Down at the bottom of the screen is the taskbar, and the taskbar starts over in the corner with the Start menu, which looks like the Windows logo. If you click on the Start menu, it brings you to this big panel of buttons, and you can actually customize this. You can put different buttons on here depending on what software you use frequently. But probably the most useful part of the Start menu is this center area, which is an alphabetical listing of all the software you have on your computer. So if you scroll down, you can see you can go through the A's, B's. It will show you all of the software that you have will be somewhere in the Start menu. So if you're not sure you have it on your computer, you can scroll through the list. Some of them are kind of hidden in different subfolders. So just be aware that it may not have an icon right out here. It might be hidden inside a subfolder. For example, this Windows Accessories subfolder has a whole lot of programs in it, like the Windows Paint program and the Notepad, which is a simple note taker program, the snipping tool, which I use to make screenshots. So some programs might be nested inside a folder. One thing nice though is you can search. So I just typed in Word and it searched the software list and found the Microsoft Word app. So if you know what you want to find, you can type it in and it will search for it for you. If ever you want to just exit this window, you can just click anywhere on your desktop and it will hide it. The other thing that's located in the Start menu is this beginning series of icons, which shows you the current user account that you're in. If you're on a computer that you share with other people, you might have set up more than one user account. This is my computer, so I have my user account, but also on my computer I have an account for my husband in case he needs to get on my computer. So you can set up multiple accounts, and they can have their own desktop and their own, or they can customize it the way they want. There's also a quick access to get to your Documents folder, which we'll talk more about later. Some other commonly used photo folders, your settings. So if ever there's a time when you need to change the settings on your computer, this is where it's found. And then the power, which will let you shut down or restart your computer. Also in the taskbar, it will show you any icons that you've set to be available on your taskbar. And Windows usually puts a few in here for you. Microsoft Edge is their web browser. This file folder is the File Explorer, which lets you see the files that you've saved on your hard drives. We're going to get to this a little bit later. The Windows Store is down here in the Windows Mail program. I've put some custom icons on here. I've added them to my taskbar, so I use Photoshop a lot, so I have that on here. Google Chrome and Firefox are two other web browsers. And the other things that will show up on your taskbar are programs that you use frequently. That you are using actively, that you are currently running. And any programs that are currently running will show up at the bottom with a blue bar underneath indicating that they're running. And right now they're running, but they're minimized. You can't see them. One of them is my screen recorder, which I'm using right now to record this video. And the other is Zoom, because I'm going to talk about what Zoom looks like, what the Zoom window can look like, and to make it a little bit easier to find it when it's not obvious. Like right now, it might not be obvious that Zoom is running, but it is. So let's talk about what a window is. I'm going to run my Google Chrome web browser, and whenever you want to run a program, it opens it up in a window. Windows have a size, and they have edges around them. They could be blown up to fill up your whole screen, or they could be small like this. They all have this kind of title bar at the top. It might, in this case, it's gray, it might be white or a different color, but usually somewhere in this top section there's a blank area where if you move the mouse on it and click and drag it, you can actually move your window, and then when you let go of the mouse it sticks in that spot. That way you can arrange windows anywhere you want on the screen to make it easier for you to see what you need to see. Now I have a fairly big monitor, but if you're using a smaller monitor, you may need to make your windows smaller or larger. There's a few different ways to do that. So over here on the right, there's 3 buttons that you'll see on every Windows computer window. The first one is the minimize button. And you can see if you hover the mouse over it, it tells you that it's the minimize. And you use this if you want to hide the window temporarily, but you don't want to close the program. So I'll click the minimize button. And what it does is it kind of drops it to the taskbar. So it's hidden, but it's still running. I know it's still running because there's a blue line underneath. If I hover the mouse over it, it will show me any windows that are running with that program. And if I click on it, it will stick it back and will maximize it back, or it will restore it back to the window. This next button toggles between 2 modes for the window. Maximize, which means the window, when you click on this, it will fill up the entire available space on your monitor. So it makes it fill the whole screen. If I now that it's maximized, if I click this button again, it will restore it down to its previous size. So this is a quick way of making a window really big so you can work with just that program, or then you can make it small again so you can do other things. The last button is the close button, and it will close that window. And if it's the last window running for a program, it will close the software, and it will no longer show up as running down here. Now, we know we can resize it by maximizing and restoring it down, but sometimes we want to custom change the size of the window. And we can do that by clicking and dragging on either an edge or a corner of the window. So the edge of the window will resize in one direction only. See how it changes the cursor from 1 arrow to 2 when I hit the edge? If I click and hold the mouse button down and drag out, it will make that side bigger. Or I can drag in and make it smaller. This works on the top and bottom as well, so I can make a window smaller or larger. If I want to resize in both dimensions at the same time, I can just grab a corner. So I pick the bottom corner, and now I can resize it whatever way I want. So if I wanted this window on one side and leave room for another window over here, I can click and drag on the title bar, drag it over, and then I can grab a corner and resize it. So now I have one window over here that I can work on, and maybe I would go to our Google Classroom on this window, and then maybe I would want another window over here, like perhaps the Zoom window. So you can see the Zoom window actually looks a little bit different than others when it's minimized. So when I minimize the Google Chrome window, it completely hides it, and it just tells you that it's still running because we have the blue line under the icon down in the taskbar. But Zoom is actually minimized right now. But when you're in an active conference meeting in Zoom, the minimize is actually, it still has this floating Zoom window. And this is a live look at I have some stuffed animals on other devices in other rooms to show you what the Zoom window looks like. And to maximize the Zoom window, you actually have to click this button here that has this little green arrow coming out of it to exit the minimize video, and it will make Zoom big again so you can see all of the participants in the meeting. So if I minimize Zoom by hitting that minimize button, instead of dropping it all the way to the taskbar, it makes this tiny floating window. Now, if you have a busy desktop, it might be hard. You might lose it. It might be hard to see. And then there's this hide video button here. So if you click that, it actually hides all the videos, and Zoom becomes this really tiny window that also might be really hard to see. So I think this might be what's happening for folks when they lose their Zoom window. It might be minimized and you just can't find it on your screen. So you'll want to look for this. Look for that green arrow to exit minimize video, and it will bring your Zoom window back up again. Right now I have my Zoom set in gallery view, so here's my view button up here in the corner. I could choose to speaker view, and then it will show the current speaker. Right now I'm speaking, I have the audio turned off on everybody's, but it would show whoever was currently speaking right now on this. And I can change it back to the gallery view to see everyone. But otherwise, the Zoom window works just like any other window. So you can grab the title bar is white up here, so you can click and drag and move the Zoom window around. I can grab a corner or a side and I can resize my Zoom window. So you see now I have my Zoom window on half the screen and I have my Google Classroom on the other. Now this does become a little bit challenging the minute somebody decides to share their screen, and I'm going to show you that next. Okay, so at this point, a friend here is sharing their screen, and what Zoom did is it blew up the screen to maximize it, so it fills the whole screen to make it easier for you to see the screen share. But also notice that my Google Chrome window is on top of the screen share, so I can minimize my Google Chrome window so I can see the screen share from my friend here. But sometimes you might want to not have Zoom be blown up full screen. You might want it smaller so that you can try and do something on your computer while you're watching the screen share. And so Zoom gives you some options of getting out of this maximize mode, and that's under this view options area in the top. So if I click on view options, it will let me exit full screen so that it's no longer taking up the full screen. So now the screen share is smaller and you can see my Zoom window is back to being a window again. So I could make this bigger or smaller depending on what I need. My gallery is now off to the side, but the view menu will let me change the way it looks. So I can change to side-by-side speaker mode, so it will only show the current speaker. It will change to standard, which will put everybody's video at the top and then the screen share down here. And then I could also go and bring my Google Chrome window back up so I can see what I'm working on at the same time as watching the screen share. So this can be really helpful. It might be a little tricky if you have a smaller monitor, but just resize those windows and make them whatever size you want so you can see things side by side. Again, if you minimize the Zoom window right now, you can see now that screen share is super tiny. You can click and drag and move this around, but you can't really see what's going on here. You would need to exit that minimize video in order to bring that back again so that you can see everybody in Zoom and you can see the screen share. And then you also have your buttons available at the bottom. So when this person is done, you could share your screen if you wanted to. And choose a screen share and click share. I'm not going to do this right now, but you don't see these buttons when it's in the minimize mode. You won't see that screen share button until you exit the minimized video and go back up to the full size. All right, to wrap this video up, remember a window has a title bar at the top where you can move a window around. A window can be minimized, and then you can find it again in the taskbar to maximize it. If it's Zoom, when you minimize it, it makes this little tiny video window that you have to click the green button to exit minimized video. You can resize a window by clicking and dragging on a side or a corner. And you can rearrange your windows so you can see things side by side. The middle button is to maximize, so make it fill the whole screen. And then that middle button will put it back. It changes to restore down, and so now it's restored down to its previous size. And the X will close that window. And that is your introduction to working with Windows on a Windows computer.